Alright, so now that we've gone through what the interface looks like and a couple of the cool features of Wireshark, let's get into the meat of Wireshark, why we use it. And I think the most powerful feature of Wireshark is the filter window and display filters. So I want to show you a couple of ways to build some display filters, but you would build a display filter basically to either just show the data that you are particularly looking for, just the packets you're looking for, or to filter out extraneous noise and things that you may not want to see. So there's a couple of ways to do it. First way I'm going to show you is by using the expression builder. So here you will click on the expressions button and it brings up this window. Within this window here on your field name, you have a whole bunch of protocols out here. And you can open up a few of them here and you can see the sub fields and what they mean. Now, a lot of these you may not know, but it's a very long list and it's very easy to search for. So, for example, right, we're going to search for HTTP, and I just type, and it brings up HTTP Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And I'm going to open up this window, and you can see that it comes with quite a few fields within the HTTP thing, cookies, hosts. The one I want to show you is the request full URI, and that is, the basically the URL of the HTTP GET or POST request. Now you click on that, you have your relationships here. You can say is present, and that's gonna, for this particular one, it's gonna show up a lot of packets. Or you can say equals equals is purely just equals, and has to match exactly. The exclamation point equals is not equals, so negating equals. This is the greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Contains allows it to do a search within that field and match on just a single term within that field, as opposed to the equals equals, which is exactly word for word, byte for byte, what you're searching for. And matches allows you to write regular expressions to search for patterns within the field or the packets. So in this one we will do contains, and we'll type, how about index.html. So the full URI contains index.html. And you can see that right here it builds the string for you. Now it shows it up as green, meaning that this is a valid syntax for this particular string. If I were to delete one character, you can see that it turns red, telling you that this is not a valid syntax for that particular string. So once we've got the green, we can hit apply, and it will go through and filter out, and you can see that only one right here, right? This is a get, there's our index.html. So there's that way of building that expression. So we'll clear that out for now and kind of show all of our packets again. The next way to prepare a filter and to build filters in is to go through the protocol tree here. Now when you open up the protocol tree, and here I've got it opened up right here to our HTTP payload data, and here's our GET, you can see a lot of things like the user agent field, the host, lots of information. Now all of these fields are filterable. So say I'm looking for all requests from this host. All I'd have to do is click on that field, right click, and do prepare filter. Selected will say exactly that. I'll show you, right? http.host equals equals and the IP address. Now I'm gonna right click again just to show you can do not selected, and we'll get into this and or stuff here in a minute, but you can negate it as well. And here you go. You can now just hit apply, and these are all the packets that match that field. So this is my favorite way of building a filter because I think it's the easiest. You go and you find a particular field you're looking for and right click prepare a filter. Now there's another option here that says apply a filter, and it essentially does the same thing. The difference between prepare and apply is that prepare just puts the filter into the filter window and basically doesn't hit the apply button for you. Apply a filter puts the filter into the window and hits the apply button. Now I like to use prepare filter especially when I'm working with a very large PCAP file because it allows me to edit the filter. If I wanted to say, this may not show up anything, but if I wanted to change the IP address around just a little bit, I could do that and hit apply, and yeah, you see it doesn't really show up anything, but I can modify the filter before hitting apply. And I think that's really powerful. In a very large PCAP, if you hit apply a filter, it may take a while to process that, and now you have to wait for it to finish processing before you can change your filter parameters and then hit apply again and let it process all over again. So my suggestion, always use the prepare filter as. Now the next way, and the final way to really do building a filter is this autocomplete function. You can click into the window here and you can start typing. For example, if we wanted to find some FTP traffic, you can see that I've got FTP and I've got two options. I got FTP and FTP data. Well, if I want to look at some of the fields within FTP, all I did do is hit the period, and there are all of the FTP fields. And I could say, request arg, and I could do contains something, and I could hit apply and it would go through and do its filter. So that's kind of another way of doing it. Let's do the and and the or here. What I want to show you when I showed you the prepare filter, you saw that there was an and selected or selected. Let's go open up the IP stack here, and you can see source and destination IP addresses. So say I want to have all the communication between these two, where this IP address is the source and that IP is the destination. I can right click and do prepare filter selected, and that's my IP source, and then my destination, do the same thing, and I can say and selected, and you can see that it builds out the filter for me and puts both of those parameters in. Now the ampersand stands for and. You could also type in and that works just as well. And I can hit apply here, and that shows me all of those. Now I could put in front of, or I could change any of these to say not, and it doesn't like that really. This is yellow, meaning that it may not work. But you can see that it actually does pull back some stuff. It's just kind of warning you that maybe that's not the best filter in the world. So we'll flip it back here. All right. Now say this is something that you use, this kind of filter is something that you use on the regular basis. You can save those filters for reuse later. And there's a couple ways to do that. First, and the easiest way, build your filter. When it says green, hit save. And you can call this, IP direction. And there it goes right here. It shows up right on your menu here, and I can hit IP direction and it automatically applies that. Now the other way to do that is to click on Analyze, and click on Display Filters. And you've got a couple of common display filters here that you can use, or you can click New and write out your new filter there and save it here as well. The two ways of saving your filters for later reuse. So that's all I have for IP filters. I'll put some resources in the discussion area to show you basically all of the information on all of these fields within this expression builder, because there are a lot of fields and they don't always all make sense. So there is some good Wireshark resources where you can search for a specific field and it'll give you a description on what that field actually means. So that way you can kind of look at some more filters and build some more complex filters. I'll also put in some information on some of my favorite filters, some of the ones that I use most often, and some examples there for you in a future lecture. So that is Wireshark display filters.